They never talk about it. Not the doctors, not even most families. But almost every senior shows the same 6 signs before the end, and hardly anyone notices. The quiet changes, the distant looks, the sudden calm, all dismissed as just old age. But what if those were actually messages? What if your loved one was trying to say goodbye in their own silent way, and you missed it? In the next few minutes, you'll learn what these signs are, why they matter, and how noticing them could change everything for someone you love, or even for yourself. It always starts so quietly that most people miss it. One day, Mr. Harold stopped joining the family for breakfast. He used to joke about the newspaper headlines, ask about his grandkids, sip his coffee like a ritual. But recently, he just stayed in his chair a little longer, a little quieter. His daughter thought, he's just tired, and moved on. But what no one realized was that Harold's silence wasn't just about fatigue. For many senior citizens, this gentle withdrawal is how the body and spirit begin preparing, silently, for what's ahead. It's not loud. It doesn't come with alarms. And that's what makes it so easy to ignore. Energy doesn't disappear all at once. It fades like the last glow of the afternoon sun. Maybe your loved one used to walk every day, then it became every other day, then only to the mailbox. It's subtle, almost innocent. The elderly often don't complain, they just adapt. That's the tricky part. Adaptation looks like strength, when sometimes it's resignation. In healthy aging, this kind of change should never be brushed aside. If a senior who used to be lively starts spending more time lying down or quietly watching the world, it might not be laziness. It could be the body giving soft warnings. Many families notice too late. By the time they realize something's off, the signs have been building for weeks, sometimes months. It's easy to rationalize. They're just getting older, or it's normal at this age. But there's a difference between natural slowing down and a quiet fading that feels deeper. Pay attention to patterns. Does their voice sound smaller? Do they leave food on the plate more often? These tiny cues, often ignored, hold meaning. They speak to a deeper shift in the inner landscape of a person who may be saying goodbye in the only way they know how, gently. Healthy aging doesn't mean pretending nothing ever changes. It means learning to see the changes that matter. In cultures that respect old age deeply, like in Japan or some indigenous communities, elders are observed closely, not for control, but for care. Their silence is listened to. Their stillness is honored. You don't need special tools. Just sit beside them. Watch the rhythm of their day. Ask simple things. Did today feel different for you? These conversations are part of preserving well-being for seniors. Sometimes, it's not the answers that matter. It's the fact that someone is asking. If you notice this quiet shift in someone you love, don't rush to fix it. Start with presence. Maybe you bring them their favorite book, not to read, but just to place near them. Maybe you play music from their youth, something that reconnects them to a more vibrant time. One woman began reading poetry aloud to her father every evening. He didn't respond with words, but his breathing softened. His eyes closed in peace. These are small acts, but for the elderly, they're powerful reminders. You're still here, and you matter. And just when you begin to adjust to this quieter version of them, you may catch something else, something unspoken but deeply felt. A glance that lingers a bit too long. A sigh with a smile behind it. That's when you start realizing they may be preparing for something even deeper. There's something about the eyes that words can't match. As the days grow quieter for many elderly individuals, their gaze starts to shift. It's no longer about what they're looking at, but what they're remembering, or maybe what they're leaving behind. Family members often describe it as a distant stare or a soft gaze. One grandson once told the story of his grandma looking at him for almost a full minute without saying a thing. She didn't look sad. She didn't look tired. She just looked full of meaning. It was the kind of look that said goodbye without needing to form a single word. Senior citizens often communicate through their eyes long before they express anything out loud. The eyes start to hold stories they no longer bother to tell. You might notice that their gaze lingers on old photographs a little longer, or that their attention seems to drift off when you speak, not out of disinterest, but perhaps because they're caught between now and then. This momentary disconnect is often misread as confusion, but many times it's simply reflection, a final walk through memories before the light fades. There's also a special kind of look many caregivers describe, a peaceful, knowing gaze that almost seems to offer reassurance to those around. One nurse recalled a man who, on his last morning, looked at her with such gentleness that she cried on the spot. "It was like he was thanking me with his eyes," she said. These looks don't follow scripts. They appear when something inside them aligns, the mind, the soul, maybe even the acceptance of what's to come. It's as if their eyes become the last window to their inner world. And yet, it's easy to overlook. People are busy, cooking, cleaning, checking blood pressure, managing medications. In the flurry of senior health routines, these emotional signals can be missed. But if you pause, even for a moment, and truly look into their eyes, you might see something extraordinary. Clarity in the face of the unknown. That quiet intensity isn't always fear. Sometimes it's peace. Sometimes it's the last act of connection they can offer. If you find yourself facing that kind of gaze, don't rush to fill the silence. Just sit there. Hold their hand. Let your own eyes speak too. Maybe you tell them, "I see you," or "It's okay." Or maybe you say nothing at all. The truth is, the most sacred moments near the end rarely need words. They need presence. And that's one of the most profound tips for a longer life. Not just for the elderly, but for all of us. Learn how to be with someone in their silence. Because after the eyes speak, something curious often follows. Not louder, but quieter still. A surprising sense of calm, almost unnatural. And that's where our story takes us next. It catches families off guard every single time. Just when the worry was highest, when the elderly person seemed most frail or confused, something shifts. They become calm, really calm, not drug-induced or artificial, but deeply serene. It's as if a storm has passed, but no one saw it coming. One daughter described how her father, after days of discomfort, suddenly asked to sit by the window. He stared at the sunset and smiled. He hadn't smiled like that in weeks, she said. The peace was real, but fleeting. Within 2 days, he was gone. This sudden peace isn't just coincidence. Many senior health professionals have observed it. A person might stop asking for pain meds. They sleep more, but restfully. They may even become more affectionate, gently touching a loved one's face, whispering kind words. It's often mistaken as improvement, and sometimes families even feel hopeful. Maybe they're getting better, they say, but this calm is different. It's not about recovery. It's about release. The body may be slowing down, but the spirit, that quiet part inside, is finally at ease. Caregivers and hospice workers talk about this often. It's a moment of grace, and it's why well-being for seniors includes emotional peace, not just physical comfort. One elderly woman who had been anxious for weeks suddenly began singing old hymns to herself. Another man asked to be wheeled outside just to feel the wind one last time. These are not random acts. They are, in many ways, small ceremonies, final rituals, ways to say, "I'm ready," even if no one else is. For family members, this moment is bittersweet. There's relief in seeing your loved one calm, but there's fear underneath, the quiet panic of what that peace might mean. And that's okay. It's natural to want more time, to hope against hope. But understanding this phase can help you embrace it. Ask yourself, what would bring them joy, even now? Maybe it's a cup of tea served in their favorite mug. Maybe it's a recording of their favorite song. These gestures aren't just comfort, they're legacy. Healthy aging isn't just about preventing illness. It's about preparing for transitions with dignity. And when this sudden calm arrives, it's an invitation to slow down with them, to match their rhythm, to stop rushing. This is when every second counts not as a countdown, but as a gift. And for many senior citizens, this is the moment they begin letting go, not because they've given up, but because they've made peace. And when they begin to let go, they often do something that says more than words ever could. They start giving things away. But not just items, they start giving meaning. And that's exactly where we're headed next. One of the most overlooked moments near the end is when senior citizens begin giving things away. At first glance, it might seem practical, cleaning out drawers, organizing keepsakes, passing down items. But if you look closer, you'll notice a deeper intention. It's not just about getting rid of things, it's about legacy. When an elderly woman gives her granddaughter a necklace she's worn since the 1960s, it's not just jewelry changing hands. It's memory. It's love. It's the quiet statement. Take this and remember who I was. Often, the objects are simple: an old cookbook, a watch that no longer ticks, faded letters from another time. But these carry emotional weight. In senior healthcare, nurses often observe patients choosing the exact moment to pass these along. One gentleman asked to speak privately with his son, handed him a pocket knife from his childhood, and said, "This got me through a lot. I think you'll know what to do with it." That was the last long conversation they had. No drama, just peace. When the elderly begin to release possessions, it's rarely accidental. But it's not just physical items they give away, it's words too. Sometimes you'll hear phrases like, "I've done everything I needed to do," or "I just want everyone to be okay." These sentences carry more meaning than we often allow. They aren't signs of giving up, they're signs of closure. In healthy aging, closure isn't about resignation. It's about acknowledging a life lived, a circle completed. The challenge for loved ones is to hear these words not as sadness, but as strength, the kind of strength that takes decades to build. Of course, not all families are ready to hear these messages. It can feel too final, too heavy, but ignoring it doesn't stop it from happening. If your loved one starts to wrap things up, meet them where they are. Ask questions: why did you choose to give me this? Or what memories do you have with this photo? These conversations are gifts, not just for the person speaking, but for the one listening. They help preserve stories, values, and even regrets that might otherwise be lost. A woman once shared how her mother, who had never been very expressive, suddenly called each child to say a personal goodbye, one by one, over the course of a weekend. No big announcement, no tears, just calm, sincere, loving words. After her mother passed days later, she said, "It was like she knew, and she gave us all a piece of her heart to carry." That's the essence of well-being for seniors in the final stretch, not fighting death, but giving meaning to the moments before it. And as these last words and gestures are shared, the body, too, starts speaking in its own quiet language, with signs that few people know how to recognize, yet carry deep meaning. And that's what we'll listen to now. Long before final breaths are taken, the body begins sending subtle messages, but they're easy to miss. For many senior citizens, these signs appear gradually in quiet corners of daily life. One of the earliest is temperature change. You may notice their hands and feet feel cooler, even under blankets. This isn't just the room being cold, it's the body redirecting blood flow to vital organs. Most people don't connect the dots, but in the realm of senior health, these shifts speak volumes. Another overlooked sign is irregular breathing. It's not about gasping or choking, but about rhythm. Some breaths become shallow, then there's a pause, then deeper ones return. This pattern, known medically as Cheyne-Stokes, often appears in the final days or hours. It's not painful. In fact, the person may seem unaware of it. But for those who are present, family, caregivers, it can feel unsettling. Knowing what it means can ease the fear. It's not suffering, it's transition. The body is slowing, and every breath is part of that natural journey. There's also a change in sense of smell, a detail rarely discussed. Some elderly individuals begin to perceive odors differently or lose awareness of scent entirely. In a few cases, Caregivers report strange, sweet smells in the room near the end. Science doesn't fully explain it, but it's been noted across cultures and time. Is it chemical? Spiritual? No one knows for sure. But what matters is noticing it, respecting it. These physical cues aren't random. They're the body's way of signaling something deeper. Digestion, too, starts to slow. The person may eat less or stop eating altogether. This often alarms families, but forcing food isn't the solution. Healthy aging teaches us that near the end, the body simply doesn't need fuel the way it once did. Offering water, swabbing the mouth, keeping lips moist, these are acts of love. Forcing a meal is not. One daughter recalled her mom whispering, "I'm not hungry, just stay with me." And so she did, holding her hand, humming a tune. That was nourishment of another kind. Skin changes may also occur, blotchy areas, especially on the legs or arms. These aren't bruises, they're circulatory signals. And finally, one of the gentlest signs, a turning inward. Even before speech stops, the person may close their eyes more, respond less. They're not ignoring the world. They're just turning toward something else. And in that sacred space, our role shifts from helping them live to helping them leave with dignity, softness, and presence. Because when you understand these signs, you're no longer caught off guard. You're prepared. And with preparation comes the chance to do the one thing that matters most in this chapter: show up with love. Which brings us to a deeper question. Why is noticing these signs so important in the first place? It's not about fearing the end. It's about honoring the journey. When we start noticing these quiet signs in our elderly loved ones, the gaze, the calm, the gifts, the breath, we're given something priceless, the chance to love them better in the final chapter. Senior citizens don't always say what they're feeling, but their bodies and hearts often speak louder than words. And if we're paying attention, we can offer something many never receive: dignity in transition, presence in silence, peace in goodbye. Healthy aging isn't only about vitamins, walks, and doctor visits. It's about emotional preparation, knowing how to be there when it matters most. When we ignore the signs, we risk letting moments slip through our fingers. But when we see them clearly, we can act with compassion. Sit longer, hold tighter, say the things we've been meaning to say. Senior health isn't just physical, it's deeply human. It's about connection, kindness, and knowing how to walk with someone as they prepare to let go. So what can you do? Start with presence. Put the phone down. Turn off the noise. Just sit beside them. Even if they don't talk, even if their eyes are closed. Ask gentle questions like, what was your favorite place to visit in your life? Or what memory makes you smile the most? These little conversations become anchors in the emotional sea. They help both of you, and they leave no room for regret later. You can also create a space that feels safe and sacred. Soft lighting, familiar scents, old music. For one man, the sound of birds outside his window brought more comfort than any medicine. For another, it was the rustle of pages while his daughter read aloud. Well-being for seniors, in those final moments, isn't about doing more. It's about doing less and making it count. Simplicity becomes sacred when it's filled with love. If decisions need to be made about comfort, hospice, or legacy, make them together if possible. Speak openly, gently. You're not giving up. You're making room for closure, for rest. And for senior citizens, that's one of the greatest gifts anyone can offer: the right to finish life on their terms, with the people they love, in peace. That is true respect. That is true strength. That is real love. And if you've read this far, it means you care. It means you're already on the path. Now the only question is, will you be the one who truly sees them, all the way to the end? So now that you know the signs, what will you do with that knowledge? Will you start paying closer attention to the silence? Will you look into their eyes a little longer, hold their hand a little tighter, listen to the words they don't say out loud? Senior citizens don't always ask for what they need, but if you're watching, they'll show you. Healthy aging isn't just about living longer. It's about leaving well and giving our loved ones and ourselves the chance to say goodbye without regret. Are you ready to be that kind of presence? The one who notices? The one who makes a difference, just by showing up with heart and eyes wide open? If this touched you in any way, share it. Talk about it. Let others know. And if you want more insights like this, more real talk, more wisdom, more truth about senior health, old age, and well-being for seniors, then hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and keep learning with us. You never know, the next video might be the one that changes how you show up for someone you love.